In the heart of rural Africa, where the sun sets on communities still blanketed by darkness, one man dared to illuminate a path with bamboo. He wasn't a government official or a billionaire with global reach. He was an inventor, a problem solver, and above all, a son of the soil. His name is Kwame Bediako, and his journey began with a simple question. How can I bring light to my village without waiting for the grid? The question sparked a fire inside him, one that would soon become a literal light for thousands. Africa's rural regions have long battled the darkness of energy poverty. Over 600 million people in sub-Saharan Africa live without reliable electricity. Children study by candlelight, if at all. Hospitals operate in partial or complete darkness. Businesses close early or never open because refrigeration, lighting, and machinery depend on power they don't have. The consequences are devastating and cyclical. No power means limited education. Limited education limits economic potential. And the cycle continues. In Kwame's village of Nyambakere, life moved with the sun. At dusk, the community would retreat into the shadows, conserving kerosene and using makeshift lanterns when needed. The cost of fuel was eating into their savings, and the smoke was harming their lungs. Kwame had always believed that a solution existed. He had watched the grid extension pass miles away from his home, benefiting nearby towns but bypassing his community. He knew waiting on government projects meant waiting forever. But then one day, he noticed something in abundance all around him: bamboo. Tall, straight, strong, and renewable, bamboo had been used for furniture, housing, and even crafts. But no one had ever thought to use it for power. Kwame started experimenting. He set up a tiny workshop made of mud and bamboo walls. Inside, he began testing small circuits, using salvaged parts from discarded electronics. He wasn't an engineer by training, but his mind was wired for innovation. He learned through trial and error. Soon, he discovered that bamboo, when treated and structured properly, could serve as a core component for a sustainable power network. He devised a plan: construct transmission poles from bamboo, embed solar-powered battery packs in community hubs, and link everything through low-voltage wiring. The bamboo poles would be light, easy to replace, and naturally insulating. He needed funding but had no access to venture capital. So he approached the village elders. He explained his plan with diagrams drawn in the dirt. The elders, skeptical but desperate for change, agreed to let him try. He gathered a team of young volunteers from the village. Together, they began cutting, treating, and erecting the bamboo poles. They installed low-voltage solar storage units housed in bamboo-framed boxes. Each unit could store enough energy to power 10 homes for a night. As days turned to weeks, Kwame's grid began to form. One pole at a time, one battery pack at a time, one spark at a time. The night he flipped the switch in the first home is one he would never forget. A burst of light lit up a mud-walled room. A child's eyes lit up brighter than the LED bulb above. Word spread fast. Soon, more villagers joined in. Construction accelerated. In 3 months, the entire village of 300 homes had light. Hospitals could refrigerate vaccines. Students could study longer. Mothers could cook without burning kerosene. Kwame named his system BAM Grid, Bamboo Alternative Microgrid. He documented the entire process, from bamboo harvesting to pole erection and circuit design. He published it open source online for anyone to replicate. Researchers from Kenya, Rwanda, and Malawi took notice. Soon, other rural communities began experimenting with BAM Grid. The bamboo grid proved cheap, costing 70% less than steel-based systems. It was sustainable. Bamboo grows back in a year. It was easy to maintain. Villagers could replace worn-out poles themselves. Kwame's model also created jobs. From harvesting bamboo to wiring homes, dozens found employment. He began training local youths in sustainable energy installation. He built a small training center beside his workshop. Every month, 15 students graduated with the skills to replicate BAM Grid in their communities. He partnered with NGOs and small solar companies for panel donations. He refused to sell out to large investors who wanted to privatize the model. "This grid belongs to the people," he said. It was a revolution in the making, powered not by oil, but by vision. It challenged traditional thinking. It inspired documentaries and articles. It won Kwame Awards, but more importantly, it won people's hearts. He was invited to speak at global sustainability summits. Still, he preferred the quiet of Nyambekere, where he continued to refine and expand the grid. He introduced water pumping systems powered by BAM grid. He added bamboo-based wind turbines in windy areas. He started exploring bamboo biomass as an additional energy source. The system became modular. One village, one innovation, one continent inspired. And this was just the beginning. Kwame's bamboo power grid didn't just stop at the borders of Nyambekere. It began to ripple outward like a wave of light, touching places long forgotten by development maps. A small village in northern Ghana called Boposo was next. A local teacher had seen a social media video on BAM grid and reached out to Kwame's team. She said her students were brilliant but stuck in the dark. She asked not for charity but for knowledge. Could they be trained to build it themselves? Kwame immediately sent 2 of his apprentices. In 2 weeks, Boposo had its own bamboo poles rising from the red soil. In a month, the community glowed at night like a constellation on Earth. The villagers danced under streetlights made from hollow bamboo stems. Children read books at night, something impossible just weeks before. And Kwame realized that this wasn't a one-man mission anymore. It was becoming a movement. They formed the BAM Network, a growing collective of rural innovators, each learning to design, construct, and maintain bamboo-based energy systems. They shared blueprints, improvements, and success stories via a solar-powered internet kiosk. Kwame's team documented every phase: cutting, treating, joining, wiring, and created tutorials dubbed in local languages. Soon, the BAM grid was no longer just an idea. It was a methodology. Could be taught, could be scaled, could be owned by the people, not sold to them. Each new project brought new adaptations. In Ethiopia, where bamboo was even more abundant, they upgraded the poles with internal reinforcement. In Tanzania, engineers embedded smart microcontrollers in the bamboo hubs to regulate output. In Senegal, students added weather-resistant coatings made from local tree resin. And in all places, the people powered the revolution. Not politicians, not foreign contractors, but farmers, students, carpenters, and dreamers. BAMGrid was solving more than power issues. It was solving dignity. The people felt seen. They felt capable. They felt empowered. And Kwame became a reluctant symbol of grassroots change. He was invited to the African Union Innovation Summit. He spoke about leveraging indigenous resources to solve modern challenges. His words echoed through the chambers. We don't need to import solutions when we're rich with possibilities. Governments took notice. Some offered partnerships. Others offered funding. Kwame remained cautious. He feared that too much bureaucracy would kill the soul of the project. He only accepted collaboration under one condition: the people must be in charge. Every village had to own its own grid. Every technician had to come from the community. Every component had to be teachable. This was not a business. It was a blueprint for sovereignty. The impact reached further than energy. Bamboo plantations were growing, managed by cooperatives who sold treated poles to new projects. Women, often excluded from technical fields, were trained as BAM engineers and supervisors. Local artisans developed bamboo housing, furniture, and even school desks, reviving traditional crafts with modern purpose. A single innovation was regenerating the economy. In one project in Sierra Leone, BAM grid was adapted to power fishing cold storage facilities along the coast. Fishermen could now preserve their catch, increase sales, and reduce waste. In Malawi, a medical outpost installed BAM grid to power ultrasound machines and oxygen compressors. In Uganda, a village built a night school for adults, lit entirely by bamboo poles and solar arrays. And across the continent, more leaders asked, what else can bamboo do? Kwame began exploring new frontiers. Could bamboo be used in data transmission? Could it be used to create biodegradable solar panel casings? He began a partnership with a university to study bamboo nanocellulose, an incredibly strong and conductive material. The future was opening like a sunrise, but challenges remained. In some regions, termites threatened the integrity of untreated bamboo. Kwame's team had to experiment with natural repellents and smarter design. In others, corrupt officials tried to claim credit or redirect funding. But the strength of the movement was its openness. Anyone could build it. Everyone could own it. You couldn't steal an idea that belonged to the people. A village in Cameroon built its grid with zero external help, using only the online manual and YouTube tutorials. They added a hand-dug well powered by BAM grid for clean water. In Burkina Faso, Kwame's team experimented with hybrid bamboo solar wind microgrids. They combined vertical bamboo wind towers with small turbines salvaged from scrap. The system provided 24/7 power even during cloudy days. And as the technology evolved, so did the narrative. Bamboo, once seen as a poor man's timber, was becoming Africa's green gold. It was no longer just for baskets and huts, it was infrastructure. It was technology. It was liberation. In international forums, Kwame argued for decentralizing energy innovation. He called for investment in what he termed native ingenuity, solutions born from local context, not foreign theory. He mentored young innovators across Africa, from Cape Town to Cairo. He always told them, start with what you have. Solutions grow from the soil you stand on. In his own community, Nyambakir, he launched Africa's first rural tech incubator powered entirely by bamboo. It included a makerspace, a learning center, and a testing lab. He called it the Grove. Inside, kids who once studied by firelight were now coding, soldering, and inventing. One team developed a bamboo-framed tablet charger. Another created a bamboo drone prototype for crop monitoring. The world took note. Documentary crews arrived from Europe and Asia. Universities sent researchers. Journalists came looking for stories and left with inspiration. But Kwame kept reminding them, I am not the story. The story is what people do when given light. The Grove replicated in 4 other countries. Each had its own flavor shaped by its community. In Rwanda, it focused on agricultural tech. In Nigeria, on urban energy decentralization. In Madagascar, on conservation-linked electrification. And still, it was bamboo that held it all together. The symbol, the structure, the source. And as Africa moved toward a new era of self-powered growth, the bamboo grid stood as both infrastructure and metaphor. Strong yet flexible. Rooted yet rapidly growing. Simple yet powerful. At a climate summit in Nairobi, Kwame was asked what the world could learn from BAM grid. He smiled and said, sometimes the future grows wild right beside your feet. All you have to do is see it. And as more eyes opened across the globe, bamboo poles continued rising in villages once left behind. Not imported, but planted. Not borrowed, but built. Not just electrifying homes, but awakening a continent. The movement wasn't perfect, but it was alive. And in every spark, in every lit room, in every empowered child, it whispered one truth: Africa has the power. And this time, the power is green. And this time, the power is ours. The Grove had become more than a training ground. It was now a launchpad for grassroots innovation. Young minds once limited by lantern light were now engineering energy systems that rivaled urban solutions. Kwame understood that the true impact of BAM grid was not just in lighting homes, but in lighting minds. He encouraged students to think beyond bamboo and into possibility. One group created a bamboo-encased smart meter to track household energy use. Another designed an app that helped nearby farmers schedule water pumping based on solar availability. A third group integrated a bamboo-based security light system with motion sensors to reduce nighttime theft in farms. None of these innovations were part of the original plan. They emerged because power had been returned to the people, both literally and metaphorically. Each day, more people visited Nyambakir to see BAM grid in action. Journalists, engineers, students, even policymakers from across the globe walked the bamboo-lined paths. But Kwame remained grounded. He welcomed them with humility but insisted they spend a full night in the village before forming opinions. He wanted them to feel the transformation, not just observe it. One guest from Europe commented that it felt like stepping into the future in the middle of the past. Kwame responded with a smile. "We've always had the future here. It was just quiet until now." In the Sahel region, where the land was dry and the people resourceful, a new problem emerged. There was bamboo, but not enough to supply an entire grid. Rather than give up, the local team proposed a hybrid model. They combined bamboo poles with recycled metal pipes salvaged from abandoned construction projects. Kwame approved the experiment and even visited to witness its setup. The result was a structurally sound, aesthetically unique power grid that symbolized resilience. Soon, hybrid grids became common in areas with limited bamboo access. Adaptation was no longer an exception, it was part of the BAM ethos. Meanwhile, Kwame began to work with universities on developing improved bamboo treatment processes. The goal was to make bamboo poles last up to 15 years without needing chemical preservatives. They experimented with natural oils, heat treatments, and resin injections. Each advancement was shared back with the BAM network, ensuring no one was left behind. Knowledge, like light, was meant to be distributed. As BAM Grid evolved, it sparked a global discussion about decentralization. Could energy sovereignty be a key to Africa's development? Could rural communities leapfrog the centralized systems that failed them? The answer echoed through every lit bamboo bulb. Yes. In Zimbabwe, a region plagued by frequent blackouts, BAM Grid provided not just backup, but primary power. In Chad, where fuel imports were expensive and inconsistent, bamboo power cut dependency and restored agency. And in Angola, where rainforest bamboo was abundant, communities began building BAM Grid networks faster than city bureaucracies could keep up. Kwame saw all this and remained firm on one belief: the solution must always be owned locally. He refused franchising offers. He declined foreign patents. He told reporters, "Let this be copied. Let this be stolen. Let this be free. Because light belongs to everyone." The open-source movement embraced BAM Grid. Programmers began integrating open APIs to monitor and optimize bamboo energy networks. An app called BAMSYNC was created to connect communities using BAM Grid in real time. They could troubleshoot, share weather data, and even trade surplus energy credits digitally. This digital backbone made BAM Grid smarter without sacrificing its rural roots. In essence, a bamboo pole in Ghana could talk to one in Mozambique. A problem in Liberia could be solved by a teenager in Uganda. It was a new kind of grid, intelligent, indigenous, inclusive, and it was proving more resilient than conventional infrastructure. When a storm hit eastern Nigeria, it took out the main power lines, but the BAM Grid in a nearby village remained intact. Villagers with light opened their homes to those without, and the message was clear: community-built power systems could weather more than just outages. They could weather the future. In global climate talks, BAM Grid became a case study. Checked every box: renewable, circular, empowering, scalable. But Kwame always reminded them, it didn't begin in a lab. It began in a village forgotten by planners. And that was its strength. In Liberia, a community decided to build the first entirely woman-led BAM Grid project. They called themselves the Bamboo Mothers. They trained, built, and maintained every part of the grid themselves. Their success led to similar movements in Ethiopia and Kenya. Kwame was emotional when he visited. He said, "If bamboo is our skeleton, then these women are the soul of our revolution." Meanwhile, new applications kept emerging. In Sudan, BAM Grid powered irrigation systems that revived dried-out farms. In Somalia, it was used to supply power to mobile health clinics. In Togo, students developed a bamboo-powered Wi-Fi repeater tower for rural schools. Kwame encouraged this kind of invention. He believed each new solution was a flower growing in the soil BAM Grid had prepared. He also invested in media. He launched a mini docuseries showcasing different communities using BAM Grid in their own unique ways. Each episode ended with the phrase, "We did it, so can you." Millions of Africans saw themselves not as victims of energy poverty, but as authors of energy solutions. And the emotional shift was as powerful as the electrical one. Kwame's fame reached new heights, but he stayed rooted. He still lived in Nyambakere. He still walked his bamboo paths each morning. He still taught workshops every weekend. And he still believed the best part of BAMGrid was the way it revealed the genius already inside people. At an international TEDx event, he told the audience, "You don't need to change the world. Just light one village. The rest will see you." And they did. Now more than 800 villages in 14 African countries had BAMGrid installations. Most were built without foreign aid. Most were run by local teams. And most were improving every year. What started as bamboo poles and solar panels had become a platform for transformation. A rural electrification model. A philosophy of decentralization. A proof that the future is best built from the bottom up. And Kwame? He continued to plant bamboo, in the earth and in the minds of everyone who listened. He knew bamboo bent in storms but never broke. And neither would his dream, because energy is not just power, it's potential. And when that potential is shared, villages become beacons. People become innovators. And a continent begins to rise.